Welcome everyone to the regular meeting of the Village Trustees, Monday, January 27th, 2025 at 7 p.m. All in order, Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Agenda review, number 3. We need to add.
I have one ad. If we could add municipal ethics liaison officer, it's a new mandate by the previous legislative session to maybe 12A would be a good spot for it.
Okay.
New mandate, say that again.
So we're mandated in all municipalities to have a municipal ethics liaison officer.
You sent us an email, didn't you?
I did.
Yep.
Transparency. Welcome, Dwayne. All right, number 4, public comment. Anyone have a comment from the public? Okay. Moving right along. Number 5, approve and accept minutes from Monday, January 13th, 2025. Meeting as presented.
I move that we approve and accept the minutes from Monday, January 13th as presented.
And I'll second.
All right, we have a first and a second to accept the meeting minutes as presented. Any further discussion?
Good job.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Nope.
Motion carried. Number 6, approve and accept village warrants through Thursday, January 23rd, 2025.
I'll make the motion to approve the warrants through Thursday, January 23rd.
A second.
All right, we have a first and a second to approve the warrants for Thursday, January 23rd, 2025. Do we have any further discussion? That's it?
All
Okay.
good? No?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Thank you very much. Number 7, review presentation, accept Connor contracting price for new electric facility located at 124 First Street. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. And I am planning to share my screen and trying to work on that at the moment. Except it doesn't like me.
It's not allowing you permissions. So you got 3 dots in the upper right. And it will give you permission to share. No, go to your screen.
Oh, cool.
She doesn't need
See
one.
more
The other one holds a charge for about 5 minutes,
settings.
but she likes that.
Yeah, figured.
Hey, there was some permission I saw.
Then check that, go to your email. And pull that little presentation up, then share, and then.
They were very, very sweet,
Were they?
but after a few closes, they're about
It says I'm sharing.
Oh, no.
Oh, it does?
made a good pie.
Okay.
It would be something else.
Yeah.
I was thinking of
There
you.
you go.
So my husband is, we got like flats and flats of strawberries
So that's
last
you,
year.
right, Steve?
So much.
Yes.
them pretty cold.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if you want to open it, it would maybe be a little bit harder,
If
but
you get one that frozen like that, they're only good for like smoothies or
I'll be able to flip slides if I do it this way,
comfort,
but.
you know?
actually, if you'll use them too.
So if you control it now? Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Real fast.
Well, thank you for allowing us some time tonight to go through the project with you. Obviously, a few of you know the project pretty well, and others a little less. What we have tonight is kind of a summarized version of where we are, and it should be switching screen. Is this the shared version or the?
You can scroll.
Can
There you go.
you? Yeah, there we go. Okay. A little bit of an abbreviated version, so I will walk through it. If there's any questions in the meantime, feel free to ask as we go through. So what? Oh, okay.
Backup one or?
No, that's fine. So the project team that has been meeting regularly to develop the design, a few of them are here, Bill, Lynn, Dwayne, Darren behind me here, Susie and David. So we've had multiple meetings to talk about the program, talk about the type of finishes and the type of space that are needed. So as that has developed over the past several months, we also put together a RFP format to get a construction manager on board. And we were fortunate enough to hire Connor Contracting and work with them to develop pricing for the facility and the design that we've come up with. So of the photos down here, there's 4 out of the 5 of us are here. I'm Steve Roy, Vice President at Weaver Lamphere Architects. Not joining us tonight, but a crucial part of the team has been John Lamoth. He's the project manager, and eventually would oversee the construction of the project itself. I don't know if you want to introduce yourselves, but Mike Connor over on the far side from me.
Thank you for having us up. I'm Mike Connor, one of 4 brothers that own the company. It's 35 years old. We have an office in St. Albans and one in Berlin. This will be our 4th similar project that we will have constructed in about as many years. We did the DPW project for the town of St. Albans, town of Georgia. We just finished the town of Milton, and this will round out the northern part of the county. So we greatly appreciate the opportunity to be involved, and this will be our 2nd DPW-like building that we will have worked with Weaver Lamphere and John specifically, and Steve, but John as a project manager has been a pleasure to work with and very thorough. So, all right, is Sean?
My name is Sean Connor. I'm one of the project managers at CCI, and we look forward to getting this project to move forward in March and building a new facility for the next 50 years of Swanton Village Electric. Thank you.
Amen.
And I'm Chris Lynch, project manager and also estimator, working primarily on this project is for the pre-construction phase of it. And then it'll get turned over to the guys who want it for construction.
Good. Steve, can I just, so point of clarification for those in attendance. This is a presentation for the Board of Trustees. If they approve this in an action item tonight, meaning approve it to go as a bond item for town meeting day, there will be 4 public presentations. It doesn't mean that you can't ask any questions, but we can't have the public presentations. It would be a little presumptuous on us. The first step is a presentation to the board. The board has to take action and approve it to be a bond item on town meeting day. Just so, that's why they're not facing you, they're facing the trustees, so I know it might seem a little bit awkward. It's hard to hear, so we'll tell them, please speak up.
So this first slide shows the project site, which is just to the east of where we're sitting tonight. It is the former Carroll Concrete Plant. The foundations of the existing, of the former building still exist on site and will be removed prior to construction. As you can see, the site is bounded on 4 sides by streets. First Street to the north, Robin Hood Drive to the east, Short Street on the south, and Elm Street to the west. So it is, completely enclosed within a public street. This is a graphic that just shows in a little more easy to see how the future building would be placed on the site. We have the electric department building in gray in the center. There is an area towards Short Street, which is on the south side of the building, which would be a secure outdoor storage area for the electric department. It would hold their utility poles, it'll hold the trash enclosure, and just a place for outdoor storage within a 6-foot fence. To the north side of the building, we have a public parking area, which would be accessible from the main entrance. It also provides the code-required EV charging space. There's 2 spaces actually that are required by code. To the west and directly off of Elm Street are some additional parking spaces, as well as the electric department apron is how we've labeled it. Just enough room to basically park a truck in that space, if not either in the street or in the building. You'll see a small blue area just to the east of the building or to the top of the screen. That is how we're handling stormwater treatment on site. It'll be a little like a kind of like a rain garden, planted vegetated area that can absorb rainwater. And that's primarily it. We have access to the secure storage area from both Robin Hood Lane and from Elm Street. The intent with that pass-through is to be able to have utility pole deliveries pull in from one street and pull out onto the next. That'll avoid backing out. And the public parking is always accessible from Elm Street side. This next slide is an overview of the floor plan, and I have provided printed copies for you to look at afterwards if you'd like as well. But this shows the overall plan of the entire building. 9,725 square feet is vehicle and material storage, so all of their supplies that are needed to conduct their business would be within that space. There's 8,650 square feet of office and support space shown to the left of on the screen in pink. And that creates a total of 18,375 square feet for a total building size. As we zoom in a little bit, this first slide, I have a little key plan on the bottom right, and that just circles the area that we're looking at. So it's the office portion on the north side of the building. You can push forward one line
Keep going.
sorry, one back. This first area that I've enclosed is the main entrance to the facility where customer service and bill payment would be, or anybody that has business to conduct with the village. From the parking lot on the north side, they would enter through an entrance. There would be a small lobby with windows to customer service in that area. This second slide is highlighting the training and boardroom. The training room, as shown, has furniture for 48 in a classroom style setting. More people without furniture could fit in there. Depends a little bit on the type of use as to the capacity. It is roughly 1,000 square feet in size. The lower bubble is the boardroom space, so equally accessible from the lobby and handicap accessible, of course. This is a slightly smaller room intended more for this type of boardroom function. Should be noted that all of these training and presentation or boardroom spaces are all accessible in the evening in a way that the remaining portions of the building could be locked off. So it's fully functional with toilet rooms, multiple egress paths as required by code.
Question,
Yes.
I know we touched on it a little bit earlier, the size of the new training room. Eventually, would that handle the voting days?
Can you put it into context? It's smaller than this room.
Yeah, I believe this room is 1,400 square
Yeah.
feet, roughly. So
Okay,
it's 1,000 square feet.
okay,
It's
but it still could,
smaller,
it still
but
could serve as voting day.
It'd be tight, but it could do it.
I think so.
Okay, thank you.
okay. This next area is highlighting the village offices. So there's some open office area for individual staff, some printing and supply support rooms, as well as some enclosed offices. Next area is dedicated to the electric department staff, including supervisors, meter testing, line workers. Each of those spaces has been, reviewed in size based on the functions that would happen for the foreseeable future for the department. And this last breakout space includes all of the areas that serve the building but are in more of a support role. So to the right, we have the sprinkler, mechanical, and electrical rooms, all required space allocated to serve the building. We have locker space, a couple of toilet and shower rooms, as well as a laundry space, janitor. Also some storage spaces to serve the village, as well as a break room where any of the employees from the electric department or village can have a lunch. That break room is also able to be used in support of any training that happens within the training room publicly. This next slide is showing the general allocation of equipment within the garage space. Obviously, the vehicles can be arranged however they'd like, but it is kind of placeholders that we place to identify, the number of trucks that are. These are all existing vehicles. How they could be placed, whether they're double stacked or single stacked, and where inventory and storage may be placed. We haven't shown on this diagram how inventory, storage, and racking may be set up. We've just allocated an amount of space for that. And this is an overall sort of a bird's eye view from the corner of Robin Hood Lane and First Street. This shows the parking area in the foreground, which is to the north of the building. The office areas are the slightly lower roof height, and then where the truck areas are parked has a slightly higher roof and is more towards the south. Just beyond that portion of the building, you can see the outdoor storage area to the left, upper left.
Is there any pitch on those roofs, or are they just simply flat?
Well, officially they are flat, but there is a 1/4 inch per foot slope, which is the code requirement for getting water to drain.
Gotcha.
Yep. And the following slides are some exterior views of the building. This being the main entrance from the parking lot. We've envisioned the use of some brick on the left side, which is actually a dark colored brick. Obviously, colors and materials have been selected, but can always be refined and further discussed. We do anticipate using metal panel and brick primarily as the material choices, and just trying to keep things reasonably simple and cost effective. This second view is from as if approaching from the building you're in now and looking across Elm Street. So there will be a sidewalk connecting the two lots. And to the distance on the right, you can see the overhead doors for the garage portion of the facility and a slightly higher roof. And in the foreground is the parking area with the office, village office, and smaller portion of the building in front. Connor Contracting, once selected, they began immediately working with us to develop a cost estimate for the project. And using their information and costs as a tool helped us make some changes along the way to to make sure that we were being cost effective with our choices between finishes and just method of construction. We actually are using a steel construction for the garage where we feel that makes the most sense. Insulated metal panel on that portion of the building. The office areas, we've incorporated only a line of steel down the center to support the roof, but the rest of it will be wood construction. And found that to be more cost-effective option. It will still lead to a 50-year building.
That's good.
So this slide that is up now is a snapshot of the overall project budget. The information at the top of the estimate is based on the Connor Contracting Division 1 through 16 estimate. So those numbers are not based on the square footage cost or anything like that. It is really detailed. The amount of yardage of concrete, the square footage of each material being used, everything down to the finishes has been estimated based on the drawings that they have. It also includes contingencies appropriate for this level of design. And I can have Connor speak to that more in a minute if they'd like to. What's shown on the screen is really intended to identify the hard costs of construction, which is shown in the dark gray, which is just under $7 million to physically build the building. The remaining items, which we call soft costs, are related to insurance needs, the remediation of the property for any pollution-related needs, the cost for moving, for designing the building, having it fully engineered, commissioning, which is now part of code requirements. Owner's contingency is also included. We've based that as 5% of the hard cost of construction. And we have an allowance for furniture, fixtures, racking for the electric department, costs for IT, for permitting, fire safety permit. Each of these, items going down the list adds another approximately 1.3 million for a total project cost of $8,323,701 as the estimate. Is there anything further you guys would like to review with the estimate itself?
Address any questions you might have.
This next slide is one that I maybe have Lynn speak to. It's information that she has put together.
So this slide, it gives us, I went out to the Vermont Bond Bank to see what an $8.3 million bond over 30 years would give us for a bond cost. And then I went to VEPSA, who handles our rates, and asked them what it would cost, what it would impact our rates at. So for the first full year of the bond, which if we bond in 2025, the first full year would be 2026. The annual interest expense would be $362,710. Depreciation, because in our rates we do depreciation but not the principal payment. So the depreciation expense, which would be the building would depreciate 3% a year, is another $249,000. And then the other factor is the tier, which is the times interest earned that they allow us in our rates, which is basically helps with your cash flow, but it's the cost of money. That's another $362,710 for a revenue requirement increase of $974,420. So the rate impact would be 14.3%. So if you go to the next slide, so that 14.3%, our rates are substantially low right now, like we're third lowest in the state. So if you're a residential customer using 600 kilowatts a month, your impact would be $11.39 a month, which comes out to 37 cents a day. The same residential customer using 1,000 kilowatts, it would increase $18.33 a month, or 60 cents a day. And then a regular small commercial customer using 600 kilowatts would increase $13.09 a month, or 43 cents a day. And 1,000 kilowatt commercial customer would increase $21.06 a month, or 69 cents a day. And that impact is only on the bond itself. That doesn't take into account, you know, any of our other like O&M costs as they've increased since our last rate case in 2016.
So I got a question.
We hope so.
Elm Street entrance off First Street, are we gonna have that as a one-way with a do not enter at Short Street? Or is that gonna be a pass-through?
We have not changed it based on this design. One way, still one way coming in.
Yep.
And full access like we have right now. That's
Okay.
what's proposed.
Okay. The Brownsfield, $356,000 to continue.
Yep. Yeah, so
That's all.
everything we're presenting, and while this is not a public information meeting per se, it's good for everybody to hear, and you will hear it in the full public information when we do tours. It's important to note that we're presenting worst-case scenarios. Everything built in here is worst-case scenario. So what Trustee Paxman is asking is there's remediation that has to be done based on contaminants that were left over from Carroll Concrete, Anderson Concrete in those days. Worst case estimates are $356,000. That's unlikely, but possible. We're hoping if we get approval, if it passes the bond vote, we present exactly what we're doing to the environmental folks and they say, here is what you need to do to get a clean slate over there. And we hope that'll be significantly less. Much the same for a few other categories and contingencies that are listed here.
Okay. Makes sense.
One other question. Will there be an entrance for the public off Robin Hood Drive as well?
To drive into?
Sure.
Yes. Yes.
I would assume so.
No,
No.
we switched
There
that.
is
There
not.
was at
We
one
changed
point.
it,
We
yeah.
changed it.
I was curious.
So you either come in Elm or you come in Short Street.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, same as we
So,
do now,
yes.
basically.
This is the parking lot.
Yes.
And this is Robin
Yeah,
Hood.
okay,
So
there's no-
yeah, because.
no driveway.
Yeah, you just come this way.
But the quickest way is like you would come in now from First
This
Elm,
way.
I
and
would
then you
think
can
so.
turn
Yeah.
right or left.
I would.
Yeah.
Well, it depends which way you're coming from.
Yeah, state preferred.
See.
We dropped that from consideration
Alright,
based on how
Yeah.
close that would have been
Okay.
to First Street, and it would have made things congested.
Yeah.
Trying to turn left out of that entrance, if we
Probably-
allowed it,
Probably.
with VPT over there, would have been problematic for traffic flow.
Good. Thank you,
You're welcome.
Suzie.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Dwayne, thoughts on the building? Gonna work?
His
Yes.
fingerprints all over here.
We really looked into this as far as cutting all the costs where we could, but make this a 50-year building that's gonna suit all the needs for the next 50 years. I think it suits us very well.
Dave?
Yeah. We did several tours with Connor Contracting and some projects they were finished in the area, and we really liked what we saw.
We did.
The space was amazing, cost effective, it seemed like, and we couldn't be more satisfied with what we've done to reduce the cost and to make it just as sensible and practical as possible. Safe, and the roof system can be fantastic. It won't slosh snow or ice down on anybody coming or going, or have maintenance issues or liability issues related to that. Also saves us from having to sprinkler empty cavities up in the attic spaces and things like that. So as far as getting everything down to the bare minimum would be great. The big bonus is what it'll do to save us space here. and we'll gain all this extra space in this existing building. So that's the other hidden bonus, so to speak, in
Right.
savings.
Oops, sorry.
Any other,
No?
yeah, and reshuffling of the outside public works areas, and they leave this facility, they go over there. We
Right.
just gain all this extra space. So it works really well.
Susie?
What?
I just wanted thoughts.
Throughout the whole entire process, we really deferred to Lynn and to Dwayne on what they needed for their people in the space. And just really looking at it from what is gonna work for what they have now and what they foresee for the future. And I think that, we cut a lot of things. Sean and Mr. Connor really brought forward a lot of things where like, well, do you need that? Could you change it to this? And that helped too, us to look at things in a different way of, yeah, we don't need exactly this. That's a good idea. We'll change it to that. And also brought some things, like access to the roof. That wasn't something I think was considered originally, and they brought that forward. So that was something we're like, okay, yeah, you're right, we do need that. And so it's been a pleasure working with them.
Cool. So I appreciate everybody here that's been on the committee to make it happen. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do it, but we got good people in place, so that's why I'm asking, thoughts and things like that. So, Mr. LeBombard?
I'm good so far.
So, yeah, no, I think if we think it's gonna be a 50-year building, I don't see why we don't do it.
And I think if we wait, the construction costs are
Yeah.
just gonna go up.
Yeah.
And Connors and Steve can correct me if I'm wrong, but, it's, the time is now. We have one of the lowest rates. It's not just our taxpayers who are shouldering this burden, it's our ratepayers. So it's a bigger pool, it's more people. And again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what the taxpayers said that they wanted.
Yeah, we heard loud and clear, right? It was a fairly close vote last time, 70-30 against, and rightfully so. So we listened, we went back to the drawing board, we heard multiple times, over 34 public information sessions, that why don't we do exactly what we're proposing right now? And it's truly a different approach and a different impact, because it's evenly spread over 3,800 people. And we will still have one of the lowest rates in the state.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. I did want that said, that even though there will probably be a rate increase, we're still gonna be, one of the lowest in the state regardless. So it's not that big of an impact.
And again, $12 a month, $13 a month. It's almost negligible, but I'm not gonna use that word. So. Next steps, Mr. Manager?
Well, so the question, I think, for the trustees, it's a decision that you have to make if we move forward or not. So we need an action item on the record for that. But do we open up the floor prior to you making a decision to ask if the public has any questions?
Absolutely.
I'm fine with that.
So, David, that's you.
Okay. Ready?
Well,
We're gonna make a motion, or are we
No,
gonna
we're
open it up
gonna
before
let
we make a
Yeah.
motion?
I
People
think so,
have
yeah.
questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody in the public? Anybody have any questions?
Comments,
Comments,
concerns.
concerns? Everybody understands?
What was the price of the first building?
14.2 million. Just in case you were, confused.
The big difference is how it's gonna be paid for. It won't be local property taxes. Yeah. Any other?
David.
You may-
I have a quick question,
Sure.
David Broderick. So the parking, general parking in front and the side, how many parking spots are we getting total?
Steve Roy can tell you exact number.
Yeah, I believe it's 26.
Is that a limitation by state of Vermont or just limitation of the project cost?
It's kind of limited by the amount of space on the site that we're
Gotcha.
trying to use.
Can't be over a certain amount covered.
Yeah, and with the ability to share some parking on this side of the street,
Right.
it felt like it was an appropriate.
We still have our existing,
Yeah,
campus.
sounds good, thank you.
I have a question. How many outside, people outside of Swanton, are gonna be paying for this accounts?
There's 3,800 total ratepayers between the town of Swanton, the village of Swanton, the town of Highgate, and a little bit of St. Albans. Do you have the exact breakdown based on where they are?
I do.
We have 5 in St. Albans,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
Highgate and Swanton Town and Village are kind of pretty
Right.
much evenly split.
But 3,800 approximately current ratepayers.
Just curious.
Any other questions or concerns? The cost, the design?
Oh, you got one more?
One more?
So it's going to be reflected, if I got this right, it's going to be reflected in our rates, in our electric rates?
Electric
Correct.
rates.
Yes,
And we foresee those only to be getting bigger and bigger to cover all of it, right? People are not gonna,
So we're presenting you with likely worst-case scenario increases based upon the 8.3 million we're asking for this building.
if 3,800 stays the amount for the next 20 years, that's what the rate's gonna be.
So it would be a 30-year bond, and then the way the bond bank does, it's levelized principal payments. So it's the 8.3 divided by 30 years is your principal payment. And then as your principal payment, or as your principal balance goes down, your interest goes down. So year 1 is gonna be your highest,
Okay.
and then it'll go down every year until we hit the end of the bond.
Okay.
but as the Southern Growth District grows, we get more people,
Spread out.
we get more customers for electric, which means that that will spread out more.
Right. And that 14.3 is based on revenue sales in 2024.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions from the audience? Anybody online?
So would we need a motion to approve the 8.3 for the warning, or how would we word that?
That's
The
a-
warning is separate, but do we need an action item independent? And Diane, do you have model language for an action item for this?
So I would just suggest that you make the motion to accept Connor Contracting's price of $8.3 million for a new electric facility.
I suggest you reword that to date the number out, because there's a $2 million difference between, a $1.3 million difference between Connor's price and the total project cost.
Should we not say Connor Contracting
Should
price?
say total project cost.
Total project cost, and we
Yeah.
put Connor Contracting out.
Yeah.
Total project cost.
Okay.
That's good.
And then we'll use the 8323071.
Correct.
All right, so I will make the motion that we approve the total project cost of $8,323,071 for 124 First Street Electric Building.
I'll second your motion, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a first and a second to approve the motion to approve the contract, total contract cost of $8.3 million roughly for the new electrical building. Do we have any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried to accept the contract pricing for total contract project pricing, to be specific, for the new electric building is unanimous. Thank you, everyone. Motion carried.
Okay, if I can have, so for the public, now that this is official, once this is done, and we're closed tonight, 4 public information sessions, we'll post it as early as middle of this week. February 10th, 15th, 19th, and 24th. Here, poster boards, detailed explanation of how we got to this point, cost implications, tours, you name it, we'll do it. We'll stay up to 6 hours each time, Damon, okay? 6 hours.
A long time.
We'll be
Oh,
here to
we're
answer-
here longer than that.
We'll be here to
The other
answer
one.
any of your questions, for sure, and concerns.
I'd like to point out one more item for the public that are here. This is a conceptual estimate, because the design development is at the early stages, which is why there's a healthy contingency budgeted. So we'll be doing another design development estimate and then a post-bid estimate after the job's put out to bid to the select local contractors to bid on every section of the work. So just so you understand the arrangement, this is not approval to construct the building yet. We have several more months of work to do before we can fine tune the number for the public. And all during that time, we'll be trying to sharpen our pencil. And not until the building is fully designed and hasn't been out to bid to the contractors in the area will we have a final contract number.
We thoroughly appreciate that and all the effort you guys have done to continue the process of trying to find better ways
Yeah.
to save money.
This is just as Mr. Sheets had pointed out, hopefully a worst-case scenario based on project history that we've been involved with, and certainly we're relying on the design team's input for some sections of work as well. So, the design team is working hard to do a responsible job designing the building, and we're working hard to fine-tune it where we can to keep it something practical that'll serve the community well. So we have months of work to do before it becomes a real job for us, and that's our only incentive. We don't have a job until we can bring it in at an affordable rate, so that's our vested interest.
If the bond is passed, when do you think you'd break ground?
Well, it depends on many factors. Environmental's a big one.
It is.
Yeah, I know.
They were out there today.
The other piece
So-
to this, separate from that, is we have to do a 108 filing for the financing.
Right.
So we'll start, like, as soon as, if we have a positive vote in March, I'll start right off, actually before the vote, I'm hoping that we get the 108 filed, and then it's working on the bond application. But the 108, I need that approval before we can actually go to the bond bank. So we can't actually go out to bid until I get it. They're telling me 6 months on the long end for approval. So that's why I want to be able to get that filed as soon as possible.
Yep.
Because it's hopefully only going to be 3 to 4 months for approval, but we'll see.
3 would be good.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few months of design,
There are.
so as soon as, you have an approval, a few months will just take up for design time, another month for bidding, so hopefully things will time out well with other.
Fingers crossed, that's what we're hoping for.
These timelines are concurrent, we assume, right?
And I don't need to, the bond pool, I would have to be able to submit for May for the August pool. If I don't hit that May date, we're good. I mean, it'll cost us a little in interest, but we'll just do a bond anticipation note for a little bit longer term than we would originally need, and then do the pool in 2026, which would actually make our principal payments not start until 2027. So,
Interest rates might be even lower.
yeah.
Hope so.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate all the work you've put into it so far, and looking forward to moving forward.
As are we, thank you.
We'll collaborate over the next 2 weeks to get ready for the first public information meeting here on the 10th.
We'll see you soon.
Okay?
Right. Ready to carry on?
Okay.
All right,
guys. Drive safe.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
guys very much.
Appreciate it.
very nice presentation.
Seems like you have done a good job.
Nobody's here for me. Right? I think we're kidding. He's like, come on, really steal it.
It's okay.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hanging out.
Well, there's other stuff on
There is. Thank you for noticing. Appreciate it.
Well, not quite as exciting, but.
Good to see you. Take care. Thank you. Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
Good night, Mike.
Well, there's plenty of room for you, Matt.
So Chief, how you feeling about that?
At
At
the
least
big table.
Damon Broderick's date, I want that on the record. That's good.
David, you can come up too with Matt if you want. Keep going.
Everyone else just, you know, I guess they got places to be.
I was just jealous.
Right? Yeah.
Number 8.
Evidence explosion in my office. Oh my gosh. Adam just got to see.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we can't do this soon enough.
Swanton Village Police Department update with Chief Matthew Sullivan. Welcome, Matt.
So you'll see the 2 packets that I gave you are the standard packets that you're used to seeing, broken up into the village and the town. And there are some outlying data that is not included in this again, because we're isolating it to the village and the town. So looking at the village for December of 2024, there were 108 incidents. Out of those 108 incidents, your top 10 incident types were 14 suspicious, 10 traffic stops, 6 mental health, 5 family fights, 5 found property, 5 welfare check, 5 crashes, 5 agency assists, 4 search warrants, and 4 VIN verifications. Out of the 10 traffic stops, there were 2 tickets issued and 10 warnings. And let's see, specifically for our traffic stops, I guess, because that includes all tickets, so there may be a ticket associated with a civil violation, perhaps associated with the high school. If I'm reviewing the tickets here, I don't actually see that in the ticket list. But in any case, 11 associated with traffic stops, 1 ticket, 10 warnings. There were 6 arrests, 11 arrest charges representing 6 individuals, and 1 of those arrests was associated with traffic stops. Looking at the town summary, for December, there were 53 incidents. Out of those, the top 10 incident types, there were 12 directed patrols, 6 traffic stops, 5 motor vehicle complaints, 3 thefts, 2 welfare checks, 2 agency assists, 2 alarms, 2 DLS, 2 juvenile problems, and 1 juvenile problem and 1 custodial dispute. There were 6 traffic stops, there were 4 tickets and 5 warnings. 3 tickets and 5 warnings were associated with traffic. 5 arrests representing 5 individuals and 9 charges total. 2 arrests were associated with traffic enforcement. Also in this packet, you'll see additional services. It only shows the 2 directed patrols, and then there is the press release on the very back of the packet. The actual additional service hours for the month of December, we were very busy with drug-related enforcement. There were approximately 27.5 hours of surveillance for a drug case technically in the town. 1.5 hours, plus 1.5 hours for a total of 29 hours in December. So again, those 2 directed patrol cards only account for 1.5 hours, but 29 hours of additional services were provided to the town in the month of December. And just looking at the months of April through December, the contract months, we've provided 96.75 hours in total of additional services to the town. And getting back to that drug warrant, which the press release is related to on the back of your packet, just again to give you some perspective on the number of man hours for that, there were 9 officers associated with execution of that search warrant. which represented 27.25 hours of overtime for 5 village officers associated with that one incident of executing that search warrant. Because these are lengthy investigations and the culmination of them with the search warrants, it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time and effort, and so it's very labor intensive. But you can see, the information regarding that specific search warrant, which was actually executed at the beginning of the month, although the search warrant was obtained during the month of December. It was January 2nd when that search warrant was actually executed. Just to give you a summary, and this is going to be in the village report of the essentially the whole year going back. So for 2024, Swanton Village Police managed a total call volume of 3,250 incidents. That was an increase of 18% from 2,759 in 2023, and an increase of 38% from 2,352 in 2022. We responded to 1,752 incidents in the village, a decrease of 5% from 1,839 in 2023, and 1,223 incidents in the town, an increase of 33% from 920 in 2023. We had 389 traffic stops total, a decrease of 13% from 446 in 2023, stopping 171 vehicles in the village and issuing 145 warnings, 61 tickets, and stopping 174 vehicles in the town, issuing 146 warnings and 66 tickets. We wrote a total of 24,502 worth of traffic tickets in Swanton, with 12,275 of those in the village and 12,227 in the town, so almost a dead even split. And that doesn't include also the enforcement activity outside of Swanton itself, because when we're doing some of these other details like Stone Garden, officers will get involved in traffic enforcement. So the grand total of tickets issued was almost $30,000, 29,378. So a little more than the 24,502. Swanton Village Police officers made 26 arrests for DLS, or operating with a suspended license. Made 15 arrests, 11 arrests for DLS in the village and 15 arrests for DLS in the town. We also made 16 DUI arrests. There were 9 arrests for DUI in the village and 7 arrests for DUI in the town. Approximately 8% of the traffic stops resulted in an arrest, given 389 traffic stops and 30 arrests associated with traffic enforcement. There were 21 search warrants in 2024, which again is indicative of the great investigative work the officers are doing on a daily basis. And I will, if you bear with me here, give you a quick summary of some of those. On January 1st, 2024, officers executed a search warrant on a vehicle resulting in the seizure of 0.5 grams of crack cocaine, drug paraphernalia, and 25 wax folds commonly used for the distribution of heroin and fentanyl. And again, most of the heroin is testing positive for fentanyl. It's really almost all fentanyl for the most part. On January 6, 2024, officers executed a search warrant at a residence in Swanton and located large quantities of drug paraphernalia, as well as a container with 1 gram of white powdery substance, which the suspect admitted was heroin or fentanyl. On January 14, 2024, officers executed a search warrant at a residence in St. Albans. Officers located drug paraphernalia and many different electronics that appeared to be stolen. Officers made 2 arrests on individuals who were located in that residence who were wanted on active arrest warrants, and additionally charged each of those individuals with possession of 2.4 grams of cocaine. On March 16th, 2024, officers performed a motor vehicle stop, and you'll see this is interesting a little later on here with some of the information. The front passenger refused to identify himself, but was later identified as Davidson Altimo, 28 years of age. Again, this is back in March of 2024. On March 21st of 2024, officers executed a search warrant on that vehicle and just located drug paraphernalia. In March, the school resource officer obtained a search warrant related to distribution of vapes up at MVU. In April, officers obtained a search warrant and executed a search warrant related to investigation of a stolen kayak. in the village. In September, officers conducted an extensive investigation involving the sale of crack cocaine on Elm Street. A search warrant was obtained for the residence on Elm and was executed on October 1st. We made arrest for sale of cocaine at that time. Also present at the time of the search warrant was a 30-year-old male from Springfield, Massachusetts, who was believed to be a source of that crack cocaine. On October 27, 2024, officers stopped a vehicle for a stop sign violation after observing the occupants involved in suspicious activity, most likely related to drugs. They obtained a search warrant and located 7 grams of methamphetamine, 2.2 ounces of cannabis, and an illegally modified .22 caliber pistol that had been turned into a short-barreled rifle. 2 individuals in that vehicle at that time were charged with possession of methamphetamine, 2.5 grams apiece. It was divided into 2 separate packages. As well as one of the individuals was charged with possession of more than 2 ounces of cannabis. The drug activity on Elmwood Street did not subside after the execution of the search warrant in October. Officers continued to surveil the residence, which led to officers observing Davidson Altimo, who, if you remember from earlier in this discussion, was in that motor vehicle stop. This was in November of 2022. He was observed leaving the residence at 2022 Elm and fled from a traffic stop that was initiated on Robin Hood Drive, resulting in him blowing through the intersection at First Street and crashing his vehicle on Missisquoi Street. He then tried to flee on foot. The vehicle was also occupied by a 23-year-old male from Springfield, Massachusetts, and Mr. Altimo was also from Springfield. Mr. Altimo was located in possession of 30 wax folds that tempted presumptive positive for heroin or fentanyl, and he was also located with a substance that approximately 5 grams of a powdery substance in bulk quantity in a baggie that also tested presumptive positive for heroin fentanyl. So the Vermont statutes, if you're in possession of 3.5 grams or more of fentanyl or heroin, it's basically presumed that you are involved in trafficking heroin or fentanyl. So the maximum fine is 30 years of imprisonment or not fined more than $1 million or both. Just so you have some perspective on the way the statutes are. Mr. Altimo was also charged with possession of regulated drugs, depressant, stimulant, narcotic, gross negligent operation, excessive speed, eluding a police officer, reckless endangerment, and we found out that Mr. Altimo was on probation in Massachusetts for armed robbery, according to his probation officer. So I know they were seeking a search or an arrest warrant for him out of Massachusetts at the time he was arrested after that incident. On November 17th, 2024, officers observed a U-Haul truck at several different locations. When one of the officers was in Stone Garden, he was later alerted to the fact, after running the vehicle due to his suspicious observations of the locations he observed the vehicle in, he was alerted by dispatch that the Williston Police Department had just entered the U-Haul truck as being stolen. So it had been failed to be returned within the rental period and was well outside that rental period. So the officers encountered the truck or reacquired it. It found it in the McDonald's parking lot here across the street. And the truck was seized after obtaining a search warrant for the vehicle. Officers located approximately 70 wax folds containing fentanyl or heroin, 0.15 grams of crack cocaine or rock cocaine, and 17 Suboxone strips. The continuation of drug activity on Elm Street led to another search warrant being granted in the month of December, again, which more details provided on the back of the sheet in the press release. Officers located, upon execution of that search warrant on January 2nd of 2025, officers located 19 grams of crack cocaine in an area occupied by Marquise Jubry, 23 years of age, out of Springfield, Massachusetts. This is noteworthy because we also located and arrested Mr. Jubry in March of 2023 after executing a search warrant in Highgate, where Mr. Jubry was found in possession of 13.23 grams of crack cocaine, and officers located an additional 2.4 grams of crack cocaine in the residence, as well as 73 wax folds containing heroin or fentanyl. So that's really a quick summary of some of the investigative work the officers have been involved in over the last year. Also, just to give you kind of a rough overview of crime in general, generally crime and disorder has been on the increase. And again, our numbers are, you've got to take these in perspective because the numbers are relatively small. Burglaries increased 133% from 3 to 7 in 2024. Theft increased 6%, aggregating all types of theft from 50 to 53. Vandalism increased 120% from 10 to 22. Family disturbances increased 104% from 24 to 49 in 2024. And motor vehicle complaints increased 15% from 121 to 139 in 2024. So it gives you some idea of the activity that we were involved in over the past.
Did anything decrease?
I'm not sure because I didn't go through each and every category.
He's just coming with bad news.
And it's not, again, if you keep the numbers in perspective, really,
Right.
it's not too bad, and you will get variations over the course of different years, depending on the year. And again, if we're talking about numbers, I want to say last year there were some variations of only 2 or 3 incidents, and with a total quantity of maybe 5 or 6. So when you're talking about that much variation, it's not really all that statistically significant, even though it's a huge percentage.
Surprising the family disturbances were up that much though, from 21 to 49.
Yeah, and again, some of it may be a lack of reporting. I mean,
Yeah.
You've seen some of the stuff that we get on social media where we followed up after the fact because people just don't report these incidents to us.
Right.
They'll report it to the social media post, and it'll create quite a stir. But
Amen.
we're not aware of it. Yeah. So I encourage people to continue to call us with any issues related to crime and disorder, so that we can address them in a timely manner.
Well, we thank you for everything.
Scary though.
It's scary, but we got good people on it too. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask a question.
I was gonna ask a question.
No, it's fair. So, pretty good spike this month, mental health calls. Do we have access, and if so, do we utilize the embedded mental health worker from Northwest?
We have used the embedded mental health worker with VSP. I have also had a conversation with the embedded mental health worker at St. Albans, she said she would be available if she was on and she had the time to respond to an incident. So we have used them whenever we have had mental health calls. We also actively reach out to NCSS whenever we're dealing with a mental health issue, asking them to follow up.
Because I think as the trustees are aware, there's nothing, in my personal experience, more dangerous than when we respond to a call with somebody experiencing a mental health crisis.
Yeah.
It's one of the most dangerous situations we have, and when they're involved, they really do a great job.
Yeah. In some of these situations, I mean, I can think of some off the top of my head are a little frustrating for law enforcement because it's not really, I mean, we're again the ultimate backstop, right? So people don't really know who to call. So rather than a mental health worker, and the mental health system is so taxed, they really don't have the capacity either. But some of these people really need to be monitored on a regular basis, and they're just not getting that. And so then it ends up with a call to us to deal with a situation that there really is more mental health related than criminal in nature.
And then I have one editorial comment, if I may. So on the face of the town, the 27.5 additional hours. So we've said all along, we're gonna work very collaboratively in partnership with the town and provide services above and beyond where we can. This is an example of, we've got some citizen feedback that was complaining about the fact that we didn't charge the town for these extra hours. This is based on my direction working with the chief, and I hope it's something you'll support now and in the future. The drug trade knows no village and town line. That is 20 feet over the village line, impacting all of us. We gotta be one Swanton in the area of combating these types of things.
Agreed.
It's the conversation I
100% agreed.
constantly am having with people.
It comes up a lot. We think we have now a fair and representative contract with the town. ratified by the trustees, and I think it is reasonable. And I think we need to rely on each other and those resources
Agreed.
to be successful.
And on behalf of the board and everybody, you know, we do send our condolences to the fallen Border Patrol agent. That was just blew me away. So, but we do send our condolences and thoughts and prayers. So, that was all. So close to home.
Doesn't get much closer.
Thank you, Matt. Very nice. Thank you and your team. Excellent work as always.
And whatever we can do, obviously. We're here.
Thank you.
Have a good night, Matt.
Yeah, me too.
Take care. Imagine the hours involved.
It's a lot.
Straightforward.
Yeah. Number 9, review and adopt electric, water, sewer budgets for 2025.
So I gave you all a packet.
I didn't really look at it yet.
So these numbers have not changed from the last one that you guys saw.
Okay.
So it's still showing a budget in the electric department for revenue of 6.8 million, budgeted loss of 737,600. And then on page 5 is your water budget, showing revenue of 927,690 with a budgeted loss of 220,260. And we had a discussion at the last meeting about not raising rates in 2025.
Correct.
And then page 8 is the sewer for a budgeted revenue of 930,235 and a budgeted loss of 134,887. And also we discussed not raising the rates. The other budget that we've got is back on page 19, which is your commercial building fund, which is basically just the CBDG loans that we've got.
Now, what are those for?
So the CBDG, we've got,
The Abenaki one and.
that one hasn't come through yet. We're not done with that
Okay.
one yet.
And
So we've got a small loan that we did in 2024. The water department still has a small loan. That'll be paid off in 2025. And then we've got the 2 deferred loans that are out there from prior projects one was probably 15 years ago and the other one was more than 20 because it was way before me.
Is that Lake Street?
Lake Street was done while I've been here.
Okay.
The other one was the other apartment house.
The old central school.
So the way this works is as we get paid back on these loans, we can transfer 20% of the revenue into the general fund for like admin fees, and then we remit 25% to the state of Vermont as what they call their recapture.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, and then interest income, that's all that happens through here right now, so it's pretty small. And then the page after that is the capital purchases that are estimated for this year, or requested for this year. So you've got like in the electric department, there's the Exciter project, which that won't go this year, but we're gonna be starting on.
Correct.
Dwayne's gotta order some reclosures, we've got a bucket truck that he's gonna want, it's been spec'd out. That would get ordered in 2025, would most likely 2026 for delivery, if not even later. The other big AMI, we're working on that. I haven't gotten to that
Okay,
yet.
all right, just making sure.
And then, in the water department, the big ones is there's a water leak detector, that Dean wants. Chemical pumps for 60,000, those have arrived and they're being installed. A light tower for when they're working on water after dark. Some insertion valves in the sewer department. And we've got security systems in here for, electric, water, and sewer. They've got down, about halfway down, you've got aerator parts. The Brown Avenue stormwater. So those are items that aren't in the budget because we cover it with depreciation. Highway, general, police, fire, that's all in the budgets that you guys have approved. Which for highway was the dump truck box, which we discussed taking out of the equipment savings. In the general, there's an air compressor and the hose tower upgrade for this building. The police got 10,000 in equipment. The fire department has fire equipment and their PPE are their two big ones. The last page is just another reprint of the property taxes that you guys would have approved at the last meeting.
The bucket truck, you've
Yep.
got order 2025 arrive.
It'll arrive 2026 is what Dwayne's hoping.
Yep.
I don't know. I've heard of another utility
2027.
that's got one.
27.
Yeah.
27.
They're 2 years out right now on theirs and haven't gotten it
Okay.
yet, so.
I just wanted to write it in because it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all. But, no, thank you.
So you guys just need to adopt the electric, water, sewer, and commercial building budgets. We did the other ones of them last meeting. And then the other thing I gave you, which is in the back, is the balance sheets as of December 31st, 2024 for all the funds. The only adjustment that I know of that is remaining is I still don't have, we got our St. Lawrence, the NIPA Niagara bills today, so those aren't reflected in here. I don't have the final VEPSA CDA, we call it our CDA bill, because they need everybody's purchase power bills to come in before they can do that one, and they've been waiting on those NIPA Niagara bills. So I'm hoping that's holding up me finishing up stuff for the audit. I'm hoping they had hoped to get us the CDA bill today. That didn't happen. Hoping before the end of the week I have it. And then that'll affect the income statement and the balance sheet because it'll be an accounts payable and a purchase power expense, but.
And that'll close out the audit as well.
Yeah, they were on site for 4 days, and then last week, they were emailing back and forth with me with just different items they had questions on, or, and I think we're pretty much, we're waiting on, I gotta get them line losses in the purchase power spreadsheet that I do, but I can't do that till I have all of my purchase power. But yeah, pretty much everything is done. And then, they'll get me a draft. I've still gotta write my management discussion and analysis. I haven't started that yet. I gotta write that and submit it to them. And they'll send us a draft that I go through and matched all my numbers. And once I sign off on the draft, they'll issue a final report.
Gotcha.
Does anybody have questions on any of it?
No.
I don't, in the water department, you're gonna see, we put the water line in service, so that's a big jump, in the fixed assets. That's the sewer, we won't put that project into service until January 1, 2026 at this point,
That is correct.
so, everything is kind of the same as it's been.
So I need a motion to, alright, so we'll move that we adopt the electric, water, and sewer budgets for,
And commercial building.
and commercial building for 2025 as presented.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a first and a second to adopt the electric, water, sewer, and commercial building budgets for 2025. Do we have any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Lot of work here.
Motion carried. Thank you very much for all your hard work.
And again, thank you for all the work, keeping the increase down, and,
Yeah.
you know, it's, I know it was a hard ask, but
Lot of work.
it needed to be asked and reviewed, so.
I almost 5.5. Number 10, right along. Authorize village clerk to sign declaration of official intent and resolution certificate for indebtedness for the proposed electric facility bond.
So these two documents are related to the bond vote for 8.3 million. The declaration of official intent just says that we know there's gonna be costs incurred prior to the bond, and that anything that has been accrued, so it'd be, you know, paying Weeman and Lanphier and Connor, that we can recoup those in the bond costs once the bond has been issued, once the project goes forward and the bond's been issued. So that's one of them, and then the other one is just saying that it's, you know, you guys believe that it is in the best interest to go out to bond for this project because we don't have the cash just kind of laying around to do the project.
No?
So that's what those two documents, and these were all done by, I had our bond counsel draft up these documents. They also drafted up the wording that's on the warning, so.
Okay.
Okay, good. You want the appropriate motions? Authorize the village clerk to sign declaration of official intent and resolution certificate for indebtedness for the electric facility bond. I'll make that motion to authorize her.
And I'll second.
2. All right, we have a first and a second to authorize village clerk to sign declaration of official intent and resolution certificate for indebtedness for the proposed electric facility. Any further discussion?
No?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much for all your hard work, once again. Number 11, approve 2025 annual warning.
I saw that somewhere too. I'll make a motion to approve the annual warning as presented.
And I'll
I read
second.
it today.
All right, we have a first and a second to approve the annual warning for 2025. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sounds unanimous. Motion carried. Thank you very much. Number 12, review and acknowledge receipt of fourth quarter SQRP report for 2024. Once again, what is that?
I don't have it, but if you give it to me, I'll acknowledge it.
SQRP. You don't have it?
No.
Squirt report.
I didn't see it. It's okay. It's a report card.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
yeah? Is that
assume
what that
it,
is?
it was.
You scored really well.
Yes, we scored really well, yes.
I'll
We should
look
call
at
it the Chris Leach SQRF card.
Squirt. Squirt report.
I think I've been busy
Drove him
lately.
nuts. I remember that.
You have been very
Always
busy
drove him
lately.
nuts. Can't believe we're comparing ourselves to ourselves, he'd say.
Well, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Would you like to just,
Go to 12.8.
Go ahead.
Go forward, Bill.
okay, so Act 171, does that sound right?
I think that's not
Of last year, something like that. Yeah, Act 171. So effective January 1st, all municipalities and other forms of governance structures in Vermont must assign a municipal ethics liaison officer. I propose for us that be me. I have logged on. I have successfully passed the training. By the way, by October, all of you will have to do the same. So there's a few other things that we need to do, but the biggest hurdle is officially naming me as the ethics officer. I would be the liaison with the Vermont State Ethics Commission. We would have to make sure our ethics policy is good to go. We have to post our code on the website. We have to track training for all of you. We have to create language within our ordinance. We have to do, make sure we have a reporting procedure and a reporting form document. Not a heavy lift once we get everything up to
Once we do
speed.
the training.
So the proposed motion would be a motion to appoint William Sheets, the Swanton Village Manager, as the ethics liaison for the village for the purpose of communicating with the State Ethics Commission.
So moved.
I second.
All right, we have a first and a second to approve Bill Sheets as being our ethical liaisons person, top of the bunch. Any other further discussion?
Thank you, Bill.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Bill, you are it.
Thank
The
you.
most ethical of the bunch.
And you have the language, so.
Okay, I acknowledge receipt of the fourth quarter SQRP report for 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you. Also, job well done, ladies.
Number 13, village manager update. Bill?
I have nothing.
Nothing.
And I mean it.
Nothing? Wow.
I have nothing out of the ordinary. Everybody's extremely busy. Great job by all involved. Let's face it, right? It's budget season. It's we got massive projects going on. We have covered enough for tonight in terms of that. I do have several things for executive session.
Oh,
Okay.
I see.
Saving the best for last.
Okay.
Number 14, any other necessary business, anyone?
No, the only update I have is we will begin planning for the Memorial Day Parade, Monday, May 26th, I think it is. So if anybody's interested in being in the parade, helping with it, please reach out to me. Or Joel Clark from the town.
You got it?
Thank you.
Number 15, executive session.
I move that we finally enter into executive session for the trustees to receive confidential legal and personnel information for which the premature disclosure of it to the general public would clearly place the trustees and others at a substantial disadvantage.
No second.
I'll approve.
Sorry.
I'll approve.
Motion carried. We're going into executive discussion. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, David.
Well,
Thank you, David. Good to see you.
Good night, David.
Bill, there won't be any action?
No speed.
No action.